Samantha, you have double duty in the band because a lot of bands have like a vocalist and then somebody who screams.
Right.
And in a lot of the songs, like you, and again, I'm not just being like, oh, you're on here, so I'll be nice. I'm dead serious. Like you, the way you do your vocals right into the scream, it's so flawless and kind of scary. I was listening to it and I was like, I literally said this. I said this 3 times. Listening to the EP, you do something cool, and I was like, shut up. I said that 3 times. We have Samantha from Carpathia. Is that how you say it?
No, actually.
She's like, that's complete.
I'm already
it is
over
wrong.
1.
It's actually Carpathia.
Carpathia. I suck.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's super weird because the British version is Carpathia, but the English, like the American version, is Carpathia.
Oh, okay.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah,
want
we found that out the hard way.
Wouldn't you rather the British version though? I feel like the British version is more.
A lot of people say Carpathia, and honestly, like, we don't really care. Like, we're like, okay. But we thought about making like a joke video one day, like being like, you know, talking about somebody coming up to us and going like, Carpathia, and then we're like, actually it's Carpathia, but like that's cool. And then the other, like, everyone is just keeps saying Carpathia, and then we're like, yeah, we're Carpathia.
Yeah.
Like, just accept it. Accept defeat.
You should do like a spoof video where you're doing a live performance and someone shouts, yeah, Carpathia, stop the show, and you have a bouncer throw the guy out or something like that.
Yeah.
It'd be like, wrong pronunciation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, so it's Carpathia.
Fantastic.
So how are you dealing with the COVID-19 thing? Are you like out of work? Are you working? Are you just chilling?
So I work as like an office manager during the day for a construction business. And, you know, during that first really bad strain, a lot of the businesses that we work with had to like quit their jobs. They were all laid off and stuff. And so my business, well, the business I work for had to lay us off for a little while. And not to mention, I mean, we work in a very like, a lot of the people that we work with are older individuals. So there was some concern at first. There was like some need for quarantine and whatnot. So I was laid off for like a month actually. And I just recently started working again. So.
Okay.
You know, I'm thankful to have a job. I know a lot of people don't, and it's, you know, incredibly stressful, and, you know, to only rely on, you know, TDI or whatever, you know, you don't really know what's going to happen.
Right.
But it's been really stressful. And as a musician, I'm an office manager to be a musician, you know?
Right.
Not that, you know, I'm thankful for the job, but the thing I love is what I'm passionate about is my music. And it's heartbreaking to not be able to actually like be with my band members. And initially the guys started out first. They were an instrumental band for like a year before I joined. So they started in 2016, and they were like this really funny name.
What was the name?
We were actually, oh God, it's like so funny. Okay, so you know how Bobby's, I don't know if you know this, but Bobby's last name is Drinkwater.
Yep, Drinkwater, yep.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not a joke. That's like really his last name. And I guess they thought it would be funny to name the band "Don't Drink the Water."
Dave Matthews, right?
Yeah, and we got a lot of that. So when I first joined, I was like, this music is sick. Like, I love it. It's awesome. It's so unique, and it's so like emotionally inclined, you know. But then I was like, but the name though.
Yeah, what's up with the name?
So I'm assuming did you influence them to change their name?
Yeah. So first thing I said, I walked in there, I was like, first of all, this is what I want to do. I want to be a national touring band one day. So if that's not what you want to do, we need to stop. I was like, second of all, we need to change the name.
Right. Can you imagine if it was still "Don't Drink the Water"? It's like,
you don't know how many times people were like, so do you guys like cover Dave Matthews band songs?
You're like, not even close.
I was like, no.
That's funny.
But when I joined this band, it was literally like learning a new language. That's the best way I could describe it, because I'd never really come in contact with progressive music before. And I mean, you hear a little bit of the influences of progression in our songs now, but before, let me tell you, holy crap, it was progressive music all the way.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this, you know? And I had a hard time at first trying to fit my style of vocals with that instrumental piece that they already were for a year, you know? They were so used to being an instrumental band that it was almost like, this is what we do, you know, and just sing over top it. And then when we went into studio, we realized like, we can't do this anymore, you know?
Right.
I mean, it was then too, because we wrote some songs and we were like, this is how we vibe, like for sure. But it wasn't until we officially went into studio and we met with our producer, Chris Paquette, who is fucking amazing. I love that guy. Is it okay for me to swear?
Absolutely.
No, drop as many F-bombs you want.
Okay. He's amazing.
All the time in this podcast.
Okay, awesome. So I love Chris. He's the man. He's the best because he's just so upfront about everything, and he's kind of like the person that sort of helped us navigate into what Carpathia is today. Like he really helped us like find our sound, because he pretty much pointed out, he's like, this is what you guys sound like, you know, this is what you need to do. And
yeah, sometimes you need that, like it's that you need maybe an outside perspective, like, hey, maybe do this, hone it in, because you kind of have to maybe sometimes dial in the sound a little bit. That's good. That
you need that little push, and having somebody that caring and that, you know, experienced, you know, listening to all those bands at all those times, you know, you could trust that opinion. And you know, so basically it just came down to that. We literally, all we had to do was just hear how we sounded in studio, and it's been like magic. Like we have a new song coming out really soon, and I'm so excited for people to hear it. But we would just we start writing and writing and writing, and tell you that we have backlogged songs, like, oh my god, too many.
Yeah, because remember, because I know on Spotify you guys have the EP and then the single. And I remember when we played together, you guys played a full set. So I'm assuming you guys had a lot of other songs that weren't laid down yet.
Right. And now it's not even like that anymore. Now, now we have enough of the studio tracks that we have, because Bobby plays the 7-string guitar, but he has like parts where there's a second guitar part. So we're like, all right, get a second guitarist or use backtracks. So now we have those backtracks, because you know, getting a second guitarist, like maybe it would work out down the road, but at the time we didn't have time for it, we didn't have money for it. It was just, you know, we needed to have the group we have with the chemistry that we have and move forward. So
right.
I was listening to one of your singles. It's called something Hell. I already forgot. It's
One Hell.
One Hell.
Oh, I forgot. I was listening to that, and it reminded me. I don't know if you're familiar with the band Animals as Leaders.
Yeah.
That this is just the guitar work alone. That's just like, this is Animals as Leaders too, like a freaking.
You guys
have your own sound. You guys have your own sound, obviously, but it reminded me of that, and it was just I love that kind of prog metal. I don't even know what to call it. Prog metal.
Yeah, it's like dirty prog, like
seven string guitar madness. I would call it.
Yeah, I dig that. Bobby will like that.
One of the things, yeah, right. One of the things I noticed about Animals as Leaders when I first started listening to them, like, oh, the bass player's sick, and then I learned there was no bass player. It was all the guitar player. Is that true with you guys? I'm assuming
No, we have a bass player.
Okay, because with these types of sound like this kind of style, sometimes there is no bass player, and I know if there's like maybe just two 7-string guitars, you can get a crazy good bass sound with a guitar.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
And the funny thing is our bassist actually is a guitarist. Like,
that's usually how it goes.
That's usually how it goes. Yeah.
I'm in the minority where actually I started playing bass. I didn't play.
Oh, cool.
You know what? I kind of learned guitar first, so I guess.
See, every guitar player turns into a bass player.
Right?
He's a good sport about it. You know, he kind of like finds it very humorous, and yeah. Andrew's cool. He's like 6'5", like huge dude.
Whoa.
But yeah, he's big.
Tall dude.
Yeah,
so
tall dude.
So there's one song on the EP. I think it was Raising Arrows. Your vocals I mean, your vocals in general are incredible, and I'm sure you've heard it from every person who's ever heard you.
I
But it's
still
genuine.
love to hear it.
It's genuine. It's genuine. But the thing I noticed, and I was going to ask you about, is when I went from the first song, which is, am I pronouncing this right? Verdun.
Verdun.
I 0 for 2.
Like
0 for 2.
Striking out the pronunciations today.
I'm like, so the song "Raising Arrows." You're like, no, it's actually "Rising Arrows."
No, Raising Arrows. You got it. Nailed it, dude. Nailed it.
Okay, all right, "Raising Arrows." But I noticed with the first track, I was like, wow. Number one, the scream that you do is like, holy shit! You do it for like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that
which is crazy.
actually reminded me, that scream. I don't know. I'm sure you like Tool, right? Are you a Tool fan?
Oh, fuck yes.
That reminded me of, I think it's the song Lateralis at the very end.
Okay.
He's just like, I know it's on the album. I forget exactly which song, but he's like, at one point, it's just like a 60-second build-up, and then it's just like, he screams for like 2 minutes.
Oh, Maynard is king.
And that's it. It reminded me of that. I'm like, this is kind of like a Tool scream where she's gonna.
Are you
scream
fucking serious?
And that's the first thing I thought was the Tool. That's what Maynard would do, and that was so cool. How you did that.
Right. Well, so for me, it was like the first song. I was like, wow, like she's got such a great scream, it was such a cool vibe. And then I heard "Raising Arrows," and I realized how great of a range you had. And it almost feels like your vocals, like you could almost handle every genre of music possible. I feel like you could sing jazz if you wanted to. You could sing soul if you wanted to. And I was wondering about that. I was wondering if you've ever actually dipped in any other genres.
My sister was a huge influence to that. And I sort of like catered to that whole style at first. And I sang like a lot of Mariah Carey, like a lot of, I can't even remember half the artists that she made me sing, but she used to have me like stand on top of like the living room table and like sing in front of a bunch of her friends.
Whoa.
And she'd like say to me, like, she'd be like, how are you gonna, be famous if you can't sing in front of a bunch of nobodies?
Man, brutal training.
She was really, really tough. But
I get that though. Like, it's scary because my mom used to do that. She'd be like, Derek, do that impression of Al Pacino. Come on. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not your monkey.
I know. I used to say I was like her personal jukebox.
Yeah.
She'd like literally call me sometimes, like in the middle of the night, randomly, like, and she'd be like, "Hey, can you like sing? One of my like her son, like my nephew, like one of my nephews to sleep." And I'm like, "Sheila, it's like 10 o'clock at night. Like I'm trying to sleep."
Like how are you naked if you can't sing a kid to sleep?
Yeah, how are you hey, can you sing in front of a kid? Like, what are you?
The kid is like, the kid is super judgmental. He's like, I'll be rating this performance. He's like, I'll be judging you.
Exactly.
So you mentioned.
Seriously, Oh, good.
No, you go ahead. No, I'll go.
Good. No, I'll go.
No, I'll go. I'll go. You mentioned Mariah Carey, and the first thing I thought was, can you do that whistle register crazy thing she does? You know what I'm talking about? The whistle register?
You know what is funny is the whistle register is very similar to what I do with my screaming. It's the same technique that you use, but I never used it for whistle register. I used it for screaming.
What does that do? Does that make you get louder with it's an easier way to project more? Is that technique does?
The technique that I use is it's unharming, because I was actually it didn't start out that way, and I'll just be really honest about that. It really didn't. But I realized that was what the technique was after I started learning the correct technique, because I did a little bit of research into it, and I actually was lucky enough to be met with Melissa Cross. I don't know if you guys know who she is.
No.
But she's done. She's the one that created the Zen of Screaming and stuff.
That's
regardless. So
cool.
So she fixed a lot of artists that out there, like Bring Me the Horizon and Disturbed and all of them. And it's so funny to talk to somebody that literally created that whole genre of sound. Like, she is the mother of that, and she's wicked cool. So I was honored to be able to work with her. And now, you know, now that I know how to use that skill, it's more or less like you don't, you know, when you sort of scream, like it's not, you're not supposed to have so much strain here. It's supposed to be very relaxed, and you're supposed to have it more located in this region. Like I know a lot of screamers, and they all of us have such different techniques, but the technique that I use, the reason why I don't know if you guys noticed, but I don't like scrunch my face up when I'm screaming, because I'm very like relaxed, because it's relaxing. Like it's very effortless. Yeah.
Like it's so key too. If you're like touring and like you can't be straining every night, you're gonna kill your voice. So if you can do it relaxed and like you said before, the zen of screaming, you know, that's the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Think about like there's a lot of bands that are.
Oh, did it frozen? Oh, okay. I think it froze for a second.
We all just stopped because we all started talking, and then we all stopped simultaneously.
That's what I thought.
That's the challenge of Zoom interviews, because like the audio is just a little bit delayed, and then like you start talking, and then he starts up. We're gonna.
No, I was gonna say Samantha, you have double duty in the band, because a lot of bands have like a vocalist and then somebody who screams.
Right.
And in a lot of the songs, like you, and again, I'm not just being like, oh, you're on here, so I'll be nice. I'm dead serious. Like you, the way you do your vocals right into the scream, it's so flawless and kind of scary. I was listening to it and I was like, I literally said this. I said this 3 times. Listening to the EP, you do something cool, and I was like, shut up. I said that 3 times.
Now she's just showing off.
Just
showing off at this point.
Honestly, that's so cool. Like, you know, I try to tell people like a lot, like I don't know who's being such a dick about compliments, that people feel so weird about complimenting, but like they need to stop. Because I love hearing that. You know, it motivates me. It like literally energizes me and makes me want to get back at that microphone. And especially now, because I don't have my dudes. Like I call my bandmates my dudes, by the way, just in case you guys are curious about that.
All right.
Literally, they're my dudes. But you know, it makes me, it'll bring me back to that microphone to practice, and thank you for that. That means a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Who came up with the 1912 idea? Like the EP cover is really, really cool. It's like it mixes modern music with a cool beginning of the century clothing. Who came up with that?
Yeah. So, okay. So, if you mentioned earlier Verdun, and we also have another song, Moulin Labe, and they both derive from historical events in history. That was weird. I said historical events in history, but okay.
I didn't notice.
I like that. I knew that. Very cool.
I was like, nope.
She has a dictionary in front of her. She's like, what kind of words?
I'm talking, and that's the problem.
Is that a dictionary? Is that a dictionary in front of you? You're reading from a thesaurus. Come on, that's cheating. You can't do that.
Okay, so but actually, so the history buff in our group is Andrew, the bass player, the 6'5" guy, the big dude.
Okay.
And he's the one that actually came up with our name, Carpathia. So and the funny thing. Oh.
Yep.
Are we good?
There you good.
This is tough.
This is like
You're good. You're good.
It's like strength training. You just gotta power through it. We're at the gym right now.
Exactly. Okay, and so he came up with our name, even though he didn't even want to like rename the band to begin with. He was like, okay, fine, and then he came up with the name Carpathia. And if you know anything about Carpathia, I don't know if you guys looked into it or whatever, but the name itself actually derives from in 1912 when the Titanic ship sunk. The Carpathia was the ship that saved the remaining survivors on.
Oh, shit!
So cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's really crazy.
The weird thing is that you know, when we started like writing our music and everything, we started and then we were performing, and we were, you know, kind of getting a niche for what we wanted, what message we were going to put across to people. And then we got offered to perform at this school. I don't know if you guys saw the Raising Arrows tour thing, but and we got asked to talk to these kids. There was 300 students in the audience, and it started becoming very clear to us that our message, to our fans, to our audience, to anyone is, be your own hero. So ultimately, it kind of derives from that entire thing, that entire message of saving not only, other people, but in doing so by like teaching them that you can save yourself. Wow. So 1912 derives from that entire thing, and all those songs hold on to that meaning. So it all ties in together.
That's really cool.
That's really cool.
Insanely good backstory.
Yeah, I'm glad it has a cool background. Yeah, because some band names just don't have, like, ours has no meaning. It's just something that sounded cool.
Yeah, it's like that just sounds cool. You guys actually
Nirvana. I mean, Kurt Cobain was like, lyrics mean nothing, and I was like heartbroken when he said that.
Right? Like, what do you mean?
I was like,
oh, I'm the same way. Oh my god, when I hear that, like, when I hear that my favorite artists like don't care about songs, like me and Steve are like hardcore Beatles fans. Like we love classic rock, and when I remember John Lennon, like before he died, he had an interview and he was like, the guy was like, "How about this song?" And he's like, "Trash." "How about this song?" "Garbage." And I was like, I love all those songs. Don't do that.
It's like,
but
no.
But yeah, it's crazy.
I love it. I love my music, and
yeah.
And for some reason,
awesome.
other people do too. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a very powerful, epic sound.
Right.
And each song on the EP, especially, the EP is very cohesive, which is really cool. Sometimes I listen to EPs and like the first two songs will sound like something, the other two are completely different, and I'm like, it didn't really sound cohesive. But yours sound very cohesive. And I love. I have notes for each one. Like I said, "Raising Arrows" was the song that I heard that I was like, holy shit! Like, she has such a fucking crazy range. Really cool guitar on that too. Sacrifice has a super epic feeling to it.
Sound.
Yeah, and like, that was the one where you like, I wrote vocal went from crazy melodic thing to awesome screech is what I wrote on my paper. Because it was amazing. I wrote in big capital letters. I just wrote vocal control.
Samantha, do you have to so when you're about to track in the studio, you're about to record, do you have to get into a headspace before you record, or what's your preparation look like as a singer?
Well, okay, so I've had to learn this over time, because I actually, had a situation happen with my voice, and I realized, okay, you're not taking the proper care. You need to do better about it, and that's why I actually got, connected with Melissa Cross and whatnot. It all ties in together from that. And, just, from being somebody who just, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm a very emotional person. I'm a very like intense kind of a human being. Like I tend to just sort of lay everything out there. And that's what I do with my music too. I'm very like, just sort of just blah. And when you're in studio, it's so difficult to do that, because you're not in front of people that are, that you could save, or that you could, talk to in that universal language that we do with the music.
Right.
So when I go into studio, first and foremost, I'm a huge fan of kombucha, like the tea.
Okay. Right. Yep.
Tea. I love those. You get the kinds that don't have the caffeine. Obviously, you can't have caffeine because it's damaging to your voice. It dries you right out.
Ooh, okay.
I try to get the non-caffeinated versions, and usually something with mint and lemon, just something like that, just to give me sort of a boost of energy and concentration. And on tour, that's like all I had, and the guys think I'm so weird for it, but
it's funny. A lot of like rock stars. I'm sorry to interrupt. I was gonna just interject real quick. But you have this like rock star stereotype where people do drugs and drink a lot, and that certainly goes on. But I feel like with singers especially, it's like you don't have that luxury to party all the time. It's like you have to take care of yourself on the road. Being healthy is like key to, because if you're just partying, drinking all night, your performance is gonna degrade over time, and then on stage you're just gonna suffer because you're not 100%. It's
unrealistic. Yeah.
Right, and it's just like I guess it's cool if you're like a Led Zeppelin or whatever back in the day. That's what they did for sure. They partied.
Yeah. And there's certain things that you can do as a singer that aren't, you know, so detrimental to your voice. But I mean, on tour, like I said to them, I was like, listen, I know I'm going to sound like a super diva, but I need to sleep. Like,
oh my God.
No, absolutely.
And the guys, my dudes are so understanding, and I'm so thankful to have them. And not to mention, like, we have people like, which you mentioned, the cover photo of 1912.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our marketing manager, William Mendez, and I tag him in like all my stuff. He pretty much does like all my photography stuff that you might see. He's done like all of our cover art, like all of it. And
sweet.
yeah, so we have a really good, like a solid backbone of people, and that helps too. But I'm sorry, I completely, like, we went off the rails.
No, that's cool.
But yeah, I do have to
I'm glad you did.
What's that?
No, so I'm glad you did go off the rails, because I was going to just say, like, I think you should, like, do a podcast. You should do, like, some sort of channel where you do, like, vocal lessons for people, because I'm not even, like I said, I don't bullshit on here. Like, for me, when we're playing, we play funk music, like rock music. And I lose my voice every night, and I don't get how at the end of it, everyone's like, great job. And I'm like, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And I'm like, how did my voice get so bad? Like, I only sang 12 songs, and you do way more than I do as far as vocals go. And you sounds like you're usually fine after a show because you do it correctly. So I'm wondering if you could teach a lot of people how to do that correctly.
Right.
Oh God. I mean, I would love to I actually just had a conversation with someone last night, because he was, you know, telling me that he was so concerned because he felt strain, and I'm like, well, do you warm up? You know, warming up is the best thing you could do, and just having, you know, a constant flow of hydration. But at the time, I mean, you have to understand, when we did 1912, I was not like that. Like, that was our first ever, you know, EP, and I went to the studio, and Chris was just like, you're going to get on that high of a register with your chest voice? What? You know? And I was like, just keep going. Like, I was so intense. And it's so cool because Chris and I, you know, my producer, we got to work one-on-one with each other at like the very start, because my band had to get back to Boston, you know? He was located in Rhode Island. So it's super convenient for the two of us, you know? So we got to become like, get to know each other really well and get comfortable with just the two of us, you know, and that's really helps. But I was like full sender. I was a full sender at first, and I didn't even think about shit like that. Like, I'm pretty sure we were having like wine and pizza when we were recording.
Yeah, you know?
I didn't think about any of that. And it was like Chicago style pizza too, guys. Like, that's not a joke.
deep dish, thick pizza.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, sing this song now.
Yeah, I was like, why am I so stupid? But so I started learning, like, very, very soon after that there are serious detrimental things that can happen to your voice if you don't take care of it. And I learned that because I went to see a voice therapist. So I would definitely recommend, you know, you make, you know, an appointment for yourself, but you clearly have your voice now. But when you perform, you know, beforehand, I always warm up, you know, give yourself a decent amount of it, make sure that you run your scales, and make sure that you're perfectly hydrated. You know, these singers are going on and talking about taking shots. It's just like we talked about, it's unrealistic. If you really want you know, a career in this, you have to dedicate to your craft. And I found that my voice was getting really fatigued on tour because we were performing like night after night after night. Right. And my body, my voice, my physical, everything just was like, this is crazy. Like, you know, and night two, I was like shocked. I was like, fuck, you know?
Yeah. Right.
You know, and I was like, yeah, it's because you're an idiot and you didn't. It's like going to the gym and expecting your body to be able to lift like 200 pounds over your head without even having any strength training. You know, you have to.
Right.
You know,
it's so funny. Like I always forget that. Like I forget the fact that I'm a vocal. Like I play rhythm guitar in the band, but I am the vocalist, and I never think to be like, let me warm up just in case. I'm like, whatever, I'll just do it. It's such a stupid thing to do. It's like you said, a good analogy of that. Like analogy that I have is like, I'm furloughed until the end of June, so I'm not working until the end of June. I'm sitting on my couch playing video games, and then at one point during the day, I'll get up and be like, let me go on my exercise bike for 30 minutes. And then my legs have the worst pain. My legs and thighs have the worst pain. And I'm like, why do they hurt so bad? And I'm like, maybe because I didn't stretch before I went on the bike and I was sitting all day like an idiot.
Right. Example. Yeah, that's exactly how you have to approach it. And I mean, the same thing with my drummer. I mean, my drummer, Jason, unfortunately, he couldn't join us. He just actually had shoulder surgery. And he's been recovering from it. And yeah, it's been brutal on him. And a lot of it, actually, a part of it was from, lifting incorrectly, which is really funny that we're talking about this. But the other part was, not stretching, not being prepared. And you've heard what Jason does. He's a fucking monster. Like, that dude traps
he is a
in
monster.
The studio. Like, he's nuts.
Especially in a single one hell. Like I wrote one hell, the drums. Damn. My notes were
3 A's.
Literally.
3 A's.
And guys, if I could be just like, just like a fan of myself, like these dudes are so incredibly talented, and I was so concerned for Jason on tour that I kept being like, okay, let's stretch, it's stretching time. And like he and I would like do these yoga stretches every morning.
That's really cool. It's like, you help him out, and then he's, hopefully like get some sleep. Like you got to help each other, because it's crazy. Like I always talk about, like, I could never tour. I couldn't tour because after one show, I give it everything I have. I need to sleep for like 2 days, and I'm like, how do people go out and do this every night?
You know what I was just talking about? Vocal strengthening exercises. You guys that play instruments, you all have to do stretches. You have to be mindful that your body is a temple, like it really is, and you are an instrument yourself, and you have to treat it as such. You have to like take care of it, and
That's so cool.
Literally, you'd be so surprised at what you could do. You know what I mean? If you really just put the effort into like strengthening it and working at it and really dedicating to your craft.
That's so cool that you put that. Your body is an instrument too, and that's like that should be the first instrument you play is the body, because like you can't play your other instrument if your first instrument hasn't been tuned.
Like working out, you got to do it.
Right.
When you're on tour.
Samantha, I have some really fun questions, really annoying but fun questions to ask you.
Let's do it. I love it.
Okay, so you specifically, not your band. Actually, if you have two different answers for you and your band, I'll take it. But if you could open for any band in the history of music, what band would you open for? So it would be you as the opener, and then the band would be second.
Oh my God, that's so tough. I mean, so if you want to hear something really dope, which I was stoked about,
I love dope things.
Okay, I always said that if we could open for a band. And this moment in this time, like it just seems so logical. It was more of a logical answer, which I'm going to continue to go with because I have dream bands. Like, would I want to open for Gojira? Fuck yeah, I love Gojira.
Whoa, like, dude,
they're my favorite.
Did you say Gojira?
I wish I could. They're my favorite band.
They friggin' rock. You know that album with it's like all
of the albums.
I'm only familiar with one album though, and it's the one with the whale in space.
L'Enfant Sauvage or
dude, Mike, continue and I will search for it. Hold on.
Honestly, the only thing that I would say with Gojira is the link is not my favorite.
Ocean Planet.
Oh my
God. That friggin' album is so friggin' good. It just, oh my God. If you want to get pumped up, just put that album on. It is, it's so good. So good.
I love them. I got to meet them and everything. And it was
dope. No way. Because they're from France, right? They're like a French band.
They're from France, yeah. But they actually now live in the U.S. They live in New York City.
Wow. Oh, so they're going to be touring more often now, do you think? Or is it...
They actually are going to be streaming a 24-hour live stream. I think I believe it's supposed to be this Saturday.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm stoked. And I love that people like share, like every time something goes to your doesn't, they're like, Samantha. And I'm like, yes,
Right.
fuck yeah. Like I get so amped. So I
Killer.
love them and they're so dope and they're just incredible. But
Nice.
but to get back to what you were saying, your question, so the logical response would be, and again, I'm still a huge fan of this band, is nothing more. I just think that we would vibe so well together, and I think our bands, you know, would benefit from each other in that regard because we both have such strong messages. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them before.
I
No, I haven't. I'm gonna have to listen to them. I'll write them down. What are they called again?
Nothing More.
Okay.
So they've been around for a while, like since the earlier 2000s, but their music is so awesome and so powerful, and it's definitely got that proggy alt vibe that we have that I love about them. And they're so real. Like you can even hear in some of their songs that like Johnny will like purposely cough. He'll be like, like what the hell? Like that was tough. Like, you know,
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that vibe. I'm all about that. Like, you know, Chris Cornell and Kurt Cobain and Eddie Vedder, like that realness, that rawness that they provide. Yeah, I love that. You know, that's what made me
it's so funny you mentioned that. Yeah, the realness is something so freaking cool. I'm a big. I started writing, you know, acoustic guitar. So everything that came out of me was melodic and folky. Before Steve added funk bass over all my guitar stuff, and we became funky. But I was listening to Bob Dylan's like first or second album once, and Dylan would like laugh in the middle of a song on the studio recording, and he was probably just like, "Yeah, fuck it, just leave it in." And I'm like, "That's so fucking badass and so confident to be like, yeah, it's so real. I love that. Amazing.
It makes you connect with them so much more.
Yeah,
I personally,
absolutely.
that's how I feel personally. You know, like I loved that remember that MTV Unplugged? Oh,
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Nirvana's a so famous, yeah.
Alice in Chains was doing their set.
That's one of my favorite Alice in Chains.
Me too. Thank you.
I've
watched
so
it
good.
so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good. And I remember like during the set, literally Lane like messed up in the middle of the set, and he was like, just go again, whatever.
Right. I remember that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I love that.
So
I was
cool.
like, fuck yes, because it just brought you right there with them. You know what I mean? And
right.
Absolutely. And like it's like one of those things where I've seen bands that I go see them and the guitar player would be doing a solo and he would fuck up and he wouldn't be able to finish it. And he was like flipping out like, damn it, I had it. And I'm like, I would rather you have laughed than do what you're doing. Like if you laughed, I would have been like, this guy's awesome. Like, who cares if you screwed up? But don't get upset on stage. You have people there watching you. It's a performance.
Right.
Yeah, it's a performance, and that's what it is. And like, and people understand. Like, they don't think you're. I mean, a lot of people are. We won't say that because there are definitely people that suck and they're really judgmental. But most people are understanding. You know.
Exactly.
Yep. Right. There's a lot of snooty musicians out there that just like they hold their chin above everybody else. Like, oh, you know, like I'll even message people to do this podcast, and they're like, they probably see it and they go, "How many subscribers do they have? Fuck, that's not gonna help me." It's like we're just having fun. We're just shooting the shit. Have fun with us for an hour, you know.
If I can have the chance to talk about my band during a fucking awful pandemic, I'll take it. You know.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Totally.
And you guys are cool.
You are too. Yeah, we usually we always tell our guests, like, you know, we have them on and like we always like to say, let's do it again, you know, let's you know, it's you know, this is cool this time. We'll you know, next time we'll get more into how to scream properly. That'll be the good chunk of it.
Right.
Next episode will be the Zen screaming.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh my God, Melissa. But
I have
I was gonna talk
about
the cool aspect of Nothing More. I'm ashamed that you guys don't know who they are, but that's okay.
Well, we come from a different background too. Like we're into different types of, like our styles are so different, but we can appreciate other genres, you know.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
That's so true. But if you guys do get the opportunity to listen to them, oh, they're amazing.
Definitely.
Will.
However, I did like you know, on Instagram you can do like those question things, like people can ask you questions or whatever. So I had a fan ask me if you could collaborate with any musician, sort of like what you're saying here now, who would it be? And I said, Johnny Hawkins from Nothing More. You know, I love his energy, da da da. So I get a message from Nothing More.
Whoa.
And they're like, hey, you never know. Like, we heard your stuff. Your voice sounds good. And
yeah, there you go.
When I tell you that I turned into this like weird person, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Literally, I did that for so long.
This thing is
I was
broken.
like, this is
right. Absolutely.
You know, so I just, you know, whoever knows, like, you never know what'll happen. Like, you put something out into the universe and
That's
you
right.
but you know, at the end of the day, I'm just stoked that they you know, they didn't have to say that, but or check
Absolutely,
my
yeah.
out. So I'm just appreciative of that, and I'm still on cloud 9 from it, and I don't care.
Yeah, when I get responses back from bands that I've messaged and they respond to me, I'm like, that was so cool that they messaged me back. It means they have to understand too how popular you get. Like if you message a fan, like that means everything to them.
Oh,
you know,
literally like I'm at their show with my drummer. My drummer and I went to go see them like not even that long ago, and I'm standing there and I'm crying. I'm like, oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know?
it's
that's comment back and stuff. It's great. Even if they were like thumbs up, I'd be like, yes.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Thumbs
exactly.
up.
So that I'm like, dang.
Yeah, I have one more annoying but fun question that I ask everybody, and I love the answers I get.
Okay.
If you could have dinner with 3 people in history, living or dead, who's at the dinner? Doesn't have to be musical either.
Okay, well, I mean, musically, I want to say Chris Cornell.
Okay.
Because that dude got me through some hard times, and he's kind of that first push towards you know, rock music in general. Huge influence of mine, and it was like the first, like Audio Slave was actually the first CD I owned, and I like played it in my like Toyota fucking Camry every day to high school.
Toyota fucking Camry.
You know what I mean? So him, definitely, I would love to talk to him. Just ask why, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The second one, Christ, who would it be? I love comedy, and I think God, it's really hard though, because I'm like, dude, who's my favorite comedian?
I know you'll change your mind the next day. Like everyone's going to change their mind.
It's so hard.
They have. So
hard.
It's just in the moment. Whatever's in the moment.
How dare you?
These answers are going to be a permanent record. They're cemented in whatever you
Exactly. I'm stuck with them at dinner now.
Forever in the digital world after this.
Exactly. I think I would have to. Oh my God, it's gonna drive me crazy.
We're big comedian fans as well. So
you are?
Oh yeah. Any.
I know, but it's.
I'm sure, like anyone you mentioned, we probably know.
You probably know them. Okay, I'm split. That's why I'm like, okay.
What are your top contenders?
I'm thinking either Bill Burr or Chris D'Elia. But there's
that's a nice,
super different dynamic there.
I'm glad you like Bill Burr too. I'm glad you like Bill Burr. Guy's a maniac.
I like both of them a lot too. They're both great.
I love it. And like Chris D'Elia's like Instagram videos are so on point. It's hysterical. I
literally just watched both of them on the Joe Rogan podcast the other night. Yeah.
I love how like he just like makes fun of everything and everyone, and it's great. So that, and then I guess the other thing I would say is, you said like celebrities or whatever.
It could be anybody. I mean, I'm assuming people would choose famous people, but I've never had somebody not do that, so that would be interesting as well.
Well, okay. I would like to. I don't know if you guys are probably just not aware of it, but my sister, the one I was talking about in this podcast, Sheila, she passed away back in 2009. She was in a car accident.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. So I would definitely bring her to the table just because I would love to see her face again and, have some dinner.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I would love to
we always talk about, we always kind of like laugh a lot, and then we get into some serious stuff on these. And one thing that I've discovered recently, I'm going to be 33 in a month. And as I'm getting older, I start to realize like what's the most important thing. And I feel like memories are what keep me going. And that's like the number one thing. And it's crazy. I just like, now I'm just starting to cherish little moments that I have, just small moments that don't mean anything to anybody else. And that's really it, man. I mean, it's crazy. Life just goes on, and you have to. It's amazing. And I feel like a big thing for me is my life is I have to understand and figure out how to deal with the loss of people that I love. How do I get by? How do I get through? And I think talking about it with people is super important and helpful for me too. But yeah, it's and this, I know Steve brings this up too, but this podcast is also about bringing musicians together. We do our thing, but we'd love to like have a collaboration with different musicians, just mush genres together and see what happens. We would have so much fun with all these different musicians. Like if you were to sing on one of our records, like that would be awesome. You know what I mean? Like there's things in the future you don't know what's going to happen, but
you think your
vocals are A+.
Oh my God, unbelievable. I think
I've never done a song track actually.
What's that?
If there was a grade above A+, I'd give that to you for your vocals.
Oh,
yeah, they're really good.
Seriously, they're unbelievable.
Yeah, like Derek was saying, we don't kid around with that kind of stuff. We look up bands that we like, and we have them on for we hang out for a while. That's kind of what we do, and we really appreciate your music and what you do. And you're such a cool person too. Like we hope we can do this again. You know what I mean? So cool to talk to. I'm sure we could go on for another 3 hours. You know what I mean?
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So we'll hang out after.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Unless the murder hornets.
Yeah, once we get past COVID, then you got to deal with the murder hornets, and that's a whole other ball.
I'll punch a murder hornet in the face after this. I don't care.
punch the murder hornets right in the face.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right
for sure. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys
but
so
yeah,
much.
Samantha, thank you so much for doing this with us. We had so much fun, and thank you for being you, and thank you for being awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Back at you. Definitely do this again.
Yeah, and let us know when that new single comes out too.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait. I will, absolutely. Thank you guys.
Awesome.
All right, cool.
All right, thank you so much.
Nice
Have a good night, guys.
You too. We'll see you soon.
You too.
See you soon.
See you.
Conspiracy, it's the only crutch that you have on me. The hog in the house with all his rats, we bite our thumbs and never tip our hats.